Hello everybody and welcome to the Science of SEO. This presentation will look at how and why businesses use SEO and how we can give you some tips on making your SEO more professional and ensuring that your website will show higher in the search engines. So the first thing is, what is SEO? Now, the layman's term for what is SEO is that search engine optimization is the process of getting free traffic from the search engines. This is by a definition by Search Engine Land. When you break it down, SEO is literally about ensuring that your website is structured so it gives Google what it wants. So why do companies need SEO? Well, companies need SEO because Google is the biggest business directory and obviously a search engine in the world. And all your customers and all your competitors are using Google. So you need to ensure, it doesn't matter what sector you're in, how big your company is, you need to ensure that you do SEO. And the reasons that we do SEO is to look at how we can increase our brand awareness, how we can ensure that we have a better platform for fundraising or to make sales. We have to have it because we need to have the competitor advantage. If your competitors are using Google and your customers can find your competitors, you need to be there or thereabouts when the customers are looking to purchase a similar product that you sell. We also need SEO for business growth. This is key because businesses cannot grow without looking at how they can drive more traffic and customers from the online engines. And SEO gives quite a high ROI. Now, the common misconception is SEO is free. SEO is not free. It's cheaper in the long term, but in the short term it's more expensive than your paid search and your AdWords campaigns. So these are the reasons why companies need to invest quite heavily in SEO. Contrary to what most people believe, SEO is not some kind of dark art. You can't just wave a magic wand and expect your site to appear in the top positions in Google. SEO is not some push button software that will give you #1 rankings overnight. Anybody who tells you that your site will rank #1 in 24 to 48 hours is usually going to be doing very black hat tactics, which can get your site penalized very quickly by Google. So SEO therefore is quite a scientific process. It's very data driven. And it's a systematic processes that have to happen over a period of time to ensure that you get the results you desire from your SEO campaigns. Everything we do as SEO professionals is backed up by data. We don't do anything on a hunch or a gut feeling. Everything is data driven. So what are the core elements to the SEO process? When you split the SEO process down into core elements and look at it more as a scientific problem, we can see in what areas of SEO we need to invest in to ensure that we get the growth we desire. The first one is technical. Technical is when we look at our website and we look at how we can boost our SEO around the technical elements of the SEO process. This looks at what kind of keywords we're targeting. Are our pages optimized so they tell Google exactly what we want and what they should be looking for? And has our website got any technical issues that would stop it from ranking? We also look at the off page. The off page is everything we do as an SEO expert that happens off the website. This is fundamentally important. This is looking at the old school link building, but a modern style of link building, looking at boosting the website's authority and about building relationships with key influencers and players within the industry, and ensuring that we are able to analyze our links so that we have the most powerful links to boost our website forward. Then we go on to content and outreach. This is the most important part of modern SEO. Without high performing organic content that has a high usability and value for your target market, your website will not perform as fast as it could do. And when we look at outreach, we're looking at the core terms of outreach on how most companies can achieve SEO results through a digital PR focus. So the first area we look at is the keyword research area. Keyword research is quite straightforward. However, it's not as easy as most people think it is, but it is one of the most important areas of initial SEO. If you choose the wrong keywords, or you choose keywords that your target market are not looking for, then the results could be devastating. It is key, therefore, to pick competitive keywords that your target market is indeed searching for. There is no point in picking keywords that your target market is not looking for, or keywords you believe that represent your brand but do not have an affinity with your customer base. So where do we go to look for these keywords? How do we know what is a good keyword, what is a bad keyword? Well, we go to Google, and Google will tell us what keywords we need to be focusing on. We need to look at, first and foremost, the Google keyword tool. This is a really great resource which has changed a lot over time and is a great base for initial basic level keyword research. The Google keyword tool will tell you quite simply what searches your customer base would be searching for and what the search volume and what the cost per click would be if it was a paid advert. But what keywords do we go for? We know what our customers could be searching for. We know what we believe our company to be presenting to the market, but how do we know what's a good keyword, what's a bad keyword? This is why, for this purpose, we look at low-hanging keywords. Now, low-hanging fruit keywords is a term that has been around for probably as long as SEO has been around. Low-hanging fruit keywords are keywords that you can pick off quite easily and get the best results for. These are also called quick win keywords. These quick win keywords have three specific characteristics. They're easier to rank for. They have a higher buyer intention. This means that if your core target market is typing this keyword into Google, they are usually further down the buying cycle and keen to buy. These keywords are usually focused around body and tail keywords. In case you're not aware what body and tail keywords are, there's three types of keywords. There's head keywords, which are your more broad terms. Could be shoes, apples, bags, cars, very broad level keywords. And these keywords are usually typed in by people when they're looking for information and how to find out something about a particular subject. A body keyword has got a few more words with it. It usually shows that the researcher has done a bit more detailed looking around to find out what they want. This could be white cars, could be brand cars, could be green apples, could be black bags. And then you've got the long tail keywords. And the long tail keywords are usually where the money is, because once people have typed in one particular search term, apples, They then type a body keyword, green apples, and then the long tail is when they add more words onto it. So they know they want the apple, they know they want the green apple, and therefore once they go deeper, might be looking for cheap green apples in Cardiff. And that particular keyword has a higher buyer intention, because as you can see, the people who are typing those keywords in, they're ready to buy. They've done the research. And 75% of all search terms are actually long tail, and they're probably longer than long tail these days. People tend to search within phrases and within questions. Nobody just searches these days within 1 and 2 words. Once you've done your keyword research, the next level we look at is on-page optimization. On-page optimization, once it's done right, is still one of the biggest ranking factors. Yes, there are over 200 ranking factors that Google say they need in place, but when you strip it down to its core basics, on-page optimization is extremely key to ensuring Google knows what your website is about. And we need to give Google what it wants. And by giving it what it wants, it means giving it the right data so it can decide where to place your website within the search engines for a particular key term. Google is a search-based algorithm. It's a coding system, and it looks at your metadata first and foremost. There's a lot of studies, and Google has gone on record to say it themselves, they don't use metadata for a ranking factor. It has a very, very low ranking weight. However, metadata is still one of the key areas that Google does read on your site. It may have a low ranking factor, but what we have found with all the websites that we analyze and optimize on a weekly basis, metadata is still one of the key factors that needs to be in place. And metadata is looking at your page titles, your meta descriptions, images, and your structure. Now this involves your page title is the first thing Google sees. This has to be keyword optimized. Meta description has to have keyword relevance. It doesn't need to be as exact as the title, but it has to mention your keyword. And what we find with meta descriptions is that once you create them properly within the right format, Google does use them within the snippets for your search results. And what we do find is by putting a specific call to action and to make it user friendly, people do interact more with that search result, and therefore Google puts your website higher for the key terms that you want to rank for. Then we look at your images. Images, this is basically optimizing your images on your keywords. This can be a similar keyword, it can be a different kind of keyword, it can be something that is associated with your keyword. It doesn't have to be exact, but Google can't read images. If you don't optimize your images, you're missing out on an optimization trick. And structure, this is looking at your H1s, H2s, H3s, H4s. The H, all it stands for is heading, and obviously as you go down the page, your H1 is your strongest one, your heading 1, H2 is heading 2, H3 heading 3. These are subheadings and title headings that have to be keyword optimized to give Google a bit more to go with on where it positions your website. What we find is by optimizing your structure, this can have a great effect in ranking the website as a whole. We need to ensure that our pages are keyword optimized. This is very important, and we need to ensure that we have a minimum 250 words on the page. Ideally, we want to be about 1,000, but sometimes to do with the way that your customers interact and to do with how your brand voice is put across, 1,000 words are not achievable, but we need to have minimum 250. because what you'll find is by not having pages of 250 to 500 to 1,000 words, you can end up having a page that's under-optimized for your keywords or over-optimized for your keywords. If you've got a page of 250 words and you've got your keyword mentioned on there 3 or 4 times, that could flag over-optimization. If you have a page of 500 words and you have your keyword on there 3 or 4 times, that is fine. So it's a case of building more page content, and what we always tell our clients and what we do ourselves is create long form content. This is content of 1,000 words. This gives Google a lot more to go with on where it can position your website, and also gives you a chance to rank for a variety of keywords, not just your keywords, because as you write 1,000 words, these are words that will be picked up within the search engines. And we also need to optimize for semantic search. This is very, very important. Google is using a lot more of schema these days. Schema is called microdata, and they also use a lot more of semantic variations of your keywords to know what your page is about. If you have a page about plates and you mention plates all the time on your page as a keyword, Google doesn't know if that is a website on ceramics, number plates, dental plates, and so forth. But by creating a page that is about crockery and ceramics and mentions about different kind of plates, mentions saucers, mentions about platters, mentions about other areas of other products that to do within that niche and that product industry, therefore they know that your site is about ceramic plates. This is really important, as a lot of companies that we work with don't tend to think in a semantic variation. They only tend to think in their main keyword, and this can hold back the SEO performance for a website. And the last part of the technical is looking at how your site is performing from a technical point of view. And this is why we always advise our clients and anybody we work with to frequently check their site. We check our sites on at least a monthly basis, and we check them a bit more just in case there's anything that comes up that we're not aware of. But by looking at your technical area of your site, you can look quite quickly on finding areas that could be holding back your SEO performance. If Google finds duplicate data on your page, broken links, they don't like it, and therefore they can knock you down in the search engines, and in some instances penalize you. This is so important. It's an area that is undervalued by many clients. It's also an area that can have the greatest enhancement in SEO performance, because there could be things within your back end of your website that is holding your website from moving forward. By reviewing our website, we want to look for any areas that could be holding our website back from ranking within the search engines. What we tend to do is we look at the areas of the website that can be on page or can be in the back end. We start off by looking at the duplicate metadata. Are there any pages on our websites that have duplicate metadata? This could be some default metadata that we haven't populated yet, or it just could be we've just copied and pasted some metadata just to get something on there in the short term, and it's been on there for a longer term than we planned it to. We also look for under-optimized pages. These are pages that haven't got the right optimization, and they're usually very low on keywords. We also come across these pages quite a lot with any audits we do, as people are quite scared on putting too many keywords on the pages after the recent Google updates in 2012. We also look at toxic and spam links. These are links that have been positioned on your website that have come from dubious websites. Back in the day, there was a lot of SEOs who would do these kind of tactics and Google clamp down on it. By reviewing your links, we can ensure that we disavow any blacklisted IPs and resubmit the website to ensure that we have nothing holding us back. We also look at 404 errors. Now, to find your 404 errors, just literally go into your Google Webmaster Tools or your Google Console as it's known these days and look for your crawl errors. Your crawl errors will be your 404s. These have to be addressed, and what we tend to do is look through them, and if the page no longer exists, do a redirect, a 301 redirect to the page that has the most synergy with the broken page. If that cannot be done, create a 404 page that says, sorry, this page is no longer available, and have some kind of links on there so people can access other pages that are similar and go back to the home page. We also look for sitemap issues. By putting a sitemap into Google or Bing, this tells Google and Bing what kind of pages you want indexed on our website. Some of these pages will not be indexed because they'll be blocked by your robots.txt file, but some of them will be, and therefore we need to ensure that we have the majority of these indexed as best as possible. Now, your robots.txt file, this is a file that tells Google not to index certain pages on your website. This should only ever be used for pages that you don't want indexed. It's so important not to put anything that you want indexed within your TXT file. If you have any issues with your website, review your robots.txt, especially if you're using any kind of WordPress site with a plugin, because previously there's been a lot of problems with certain areas of the robots.txt file that's been created by the plugin, and therefore this can hold back your website moving forward. It can actually block really key areas of your website, which can end up with those pages being de-indexed. It is so important. And we also look at Google notifications. This is looking at, is there anything that Google's telling us that we need to be keeping an eye on our website? Google is pretty keen on having a dialogue with us, and therefore we need to ensure that we take as much notice as possible of any messages that they post. Once we have ensured that our website has all the technical elements in place to ensure that we are not overlooking anything in the SEO, then we look at how do we boost our website's power. This is so key in modern day SEO and also in traditional SEO. Google is at heart a voting algorithm, and it decides on where to position you within the results when you basically have other websites that link into you as a vote of authority. So when we're looking at boosting website power, we look at a couple of key things. But the first thing we look at is links. Contrary to what people will tell you, links still count. Links are one of the most important areas of SEO. Without links, your website will not rank. It doesn't matter if your website has the best content. It really doesn't matter if it has the best products for your customer. If you have no links, your website will not rank. That is so important people understand that. I come across websites on a daily basis that have 0 links going to pages. Without links, their pages will not rank for the keywords that they're optimized for. So how do we build links? Well, back in the day, links were done on a far more automated mass basis. But these days, links have to be done in a more controlled and natural manner. The first place we look for when we're looking at links is our partner sites. Now, partner sites are sites that we have an affinity with, sites that we've got a relationship with, and sites that we have used us and we've used them in the past. That's the first place we go to have a look if there's any link power we can get from them. The second is we look at local authorities. Now this looks at how local authorities or .gov or council sites or university sites, how we can get some affinity with them. Have we done something with these people previously? Have we sponsored? Do we have an apprenticeship scheme? Do we talk to the university as a lecture and therefore require some kind of link equity in return? This is so important because these links are so powerful, and many university sites will have a resource page. So if your company is a local resource, then you should be able to approach them for a link, because what you will find is we don't just build links for links' sake. We build links to ensure that it gives value to the people who are reading it. We look at building relationships with influencers. This is so key in modern day SEO. This is where we look at who are the main people in our industry, what do they talk about, how do we fit in with them, and where can we present information to them that they'll be happy to share and engage with. Building relationships is so important, and it's more important with your influencer networks because they are the ones who your customers will listen to more than you as the brand. And lastly, content marketing, PR and outreach. This is probably the most important area of modern day link building. Content marketing, if it's done in a structured and correct manner, will get you links. PR will get you links, and outreach, which is a digital form of PR, that will always get you links. These three areas will get you probably more links than the top three combined. So you should really invest a lot of your time and effort in these three elements of SEO. So this goes on to mention a bit more about content marketing. Why do we do content marketing? Well, content marketing is so important in modern day SEO. It not only builds links, but it builds brand awareness in your key target markets, and it also develops trust. If you're able to produce content that enhances the user experience for your customers, therefore they trust you more and are more likely to buy from you as a brand. But how do we stand out? There's a study done recently that there's 2 million blogs produced every hour across the world. How do we stand out as a content marketer? And do we need to have a massive budget for content marketing? Because content marketing can be anything from a small blog to a massive infographic. So how do we stand out? How can we create content that stands out in such a fragmented market where there's so much information overload? We find content that is produced on these principles gives the best benefit for any content marketing. And when we create content as a brand, as a small business, as a large business, we need to create content that falls upon these elements. It has to be emotional. It has to have an emotional attachment with your target market. It makes them cry, makes them happy, makes them laugh. It has to have an emotional attachment. Also, it can be intellectual. This means that people gain an extra level of knowledge by reading it. It has to add value. Nobody will read anything that doesn't add value. Nobody will share anything. Nobody will do anything with content that doesn't add value. It can educate. Education is one of the key principles of content. By reading a piece of content, by watching a movie, does it educate them? Can it appeal to them and develop their skill set further? It can inspire. It can make them want to do something, take up a particular activity, a hobby, make them want to get involved with a particular cause. And lastly, is it entertaining? Do we create content that is entertaining? Therefore, can people read it and they can share it amongst their friends because it entertains others like it entertains them? What we find is content that is produced on these principles, and not all of them have to be present, but content marketing has to be around these core elements. And when you strip it down to its core basics, it needs to add value and resonates with your target market. If it doesn't add value and is targeted towards your customers, then it's not going to do anything. Okay, we understand what makes great content, what makes outstanding content, but what can we do with that information? Just knowing that we need to create great content, then that's a no-brainer. But what does great content look like? Well, examples of great content can be product reviews. Product reviews have an affinity within your target market. They're usually conducted by an influencer. Therefore, people have an emotional attachment to the influencer, and they also, as a product review, they trust them and it adds value to that person who's reading that review. Product review marketing is one of the highest forms of online word of mouth marketing. How-to guides. This is quite straightforward. This could be a video, it could be a document, white paper, could be anything. This is showing people how to do something better. And this element of content marketing just enhances that brand perception with the target market. They feel like they're getting a higher perceived value from the brand, basically something for nothing. And therefore, when they want to buy, then they're more inclined to buy. These how-to guides are what we would call top of the funnel. People looking how to do something, but not really looking to buy. But then when it comes to buy-in, they're ready. And obviously they'll come to you because you've given them the most value. Infographics. Infographics are really informative. They're also very entertaining. Infographics done right tend to have a virality about them. People will share them. But infographics usually just present data in a graphical form. Can be, statistical data, can be research data, can be survey data, but infographics tend to be more what we would call entertaining content rather than educational. But they can have educational elements to it. Industry roundups. This is where we or a brand would ask a question to a small sector of professionals within the industry, and they would answer a series of questions that we would pose to them. This is great because you get what we would call a lot of information from your main influencers that people will read and digest. This can be anything. It can be asking, some sales professionals and consultants, what is the number one CRM software they use, or what is the top 3 CRM softwares that they use, or what makes their day go quicker from a productivity point of view. What kind of hacks and tips do they use? This information is great because people who read it are going to be people who are interested in these people. So therefore, we get a great response from doing this kind of content. Event-based content. This is content that is based around an event. It can be seasonality, it can be an annual event, it can be an industry event. Event-based content is great because it is on trend. Creating a piece of content around Valentine's Day for a gifting product for females is a great way to get in front of those key target markets. Event-based content has a really high trending value and is shared and engaged with on a higher level than any other based content. And it's also content that can be planned ahead into the content planner that you've developed for the rest of the year. Video and interactive. Again, video content is great. It has the highest what we call dwell rate. People tend to spend a lot more time looking at a video than they would as any other form of content. Video content is particularly useful for how-to guides and product reviews, and also storytelling and presenting your brand in a different viewpoint to your key target markets. Interactive content, this is also great. It's more virality, but it's about quizzes, interactive maps, and people can engage with it and share it. This is probably can be the most expensive type of content to create, both video and interactive, but they are one of the best ways to get links. And we create content for influencers, not for our customers. This is so important. Our customers don't have blogs. Our customers don't have a following. So why would we create content for our customers? Yes, we want to create content that engages with our customers, but we want to create content for our influencers. These are the people who can have blogs, they have social accounts, they have networking events, they have everything we need, but we need to create content for them because they speak to our target market. Our target market responds to everything that they do. Target markets very rarely engage with brands on that level, on that emotional level, but they do with influencers. It's so important. If we take one takeaway from this presentation, create content for your influencers. So we understand what great content looks like, but how does that look in a practical term? Well, we can see that this was recently a campaign done by CarWow. CarWow did this really slick piece of content around the Star Wars event, which was obviously the film in 2015. So what they did is they created something that was quite fun, it was a little bit to do with their industry, obviously cars, but they looked at what kind of cars would Star Wars characters drive, and they've just modded up very, some luxury cars, some basic cars, but they modded these cars to be a bit more to do with the characters of Star Wars. Now this is a great piece of content, and we'll go into details on why it was a great piece of content, but as you can see, obviously this is the top part. It had really great graphics, and that was one of the main driving forces for it. But why was it a great piece of content? Great, okay, they put this lovely piece of content out about Star Wars cars. We know that it was based around the Star Wars film event, but why was it great? Well, this piece of content created 91 links. 91 links from pretty high authority sites. Top Gear, some car magazines, a lot of petrolhead forums, a lot of petrolhead websites, any website that had affiliation with any of the cars that were mentioned within this piece of content. And it had a really massive social reach and brand awareness for CarWow. This was shared so many times on social, so many times on Facebook, Instagram, and it had a really great social element to it. But when it comes down to it, it's about the links. The links are so high for this piece of content, and they're really great links from great sites. But why did this work so well? Yes, it was event-based, but why did it work so well? Well, if we go back to our key principles, this was a piece of content that was emotional on two levels. The Star Wars fans are really passionate about the franchise. Car fans are very passionate about their cars, and if you split that down into segments of car owners and brands, you have probably a multi-level passionate and emotional attachment that the people who share this content have with each car. And it was entertaining. This was a really entertaining piece. You could share this, you could engage with it. Yes, it was slickly done. Yes, probably a lot of money was spent on it, but the key principles are the same. And lastly, I know it's not covered in the slide, but look at the headline. The headline, the modded cars Star Wars characters would totally drive. Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, if you're a modded car fan, you're going to get great value of that headline, because it's mentioned modded cars, it's mentioned Star Wars, and it's mentioned about they would drive them. So it's got a great headline to go with it. And headline is not something that's covered in this presentation, but it's such an important element of your content. But content, as great as it is, as fantastic as the Star Wars piece was, as fantastic as all the content we see from all the great brands, is only as good as the promotion it gets. Putting a lovely piece of content that has, we spent a couple of thousand on, like obviously the Star Wars piece, and getting that on your website will just sit there without promotion. Promotion of content is the most important element of content marketing. And this is why to promote content we need outreach. And outreach is the heart of our SEO strategy. You have to let people know in these target markets, in these core segments, that you've created this content and that you need them to look at it. And that's why the Star Wars piece worked so well, because they created the piece of content and then they sent it out to loads of different websites and said, we think this would be great for your website. And that's why it got shared at such a high level. When we look at outreach, there's two elements of the outreach process, and this is quite loosely based, it's not actually defined, but you've got cold outreach. Now, cold outreach is the old version of a nice PR mail shot. You engage at a massive volume with people who have got a loose affinity and awareness of the brand, and you engage with them, you create some awareness, you create a rapport, you get some engagement, and at the end you get some action. Cold outreach is great for campaigns that have a wide market appeal. What we tend to do with cold outreach is we would develop a massive list of people and put it through quite a filtration process. We only engage with key bloggers within outreach that have a brand affinity. There's no point in us going to a ladies bag and fashion blogger with a car site like CarWow. There'll be no affinity, so we make sure that we have the best affinity possible. We've also got warm outreach. Now, warm outreach is done a little bit different. Warm outreach is done usually on social, on Twitter, and we look at influencers. We target a list of influencers and we get on their radar. We follow them, we share their content, we retweet, we even put their content into some of the articles we produce, the content we produce, and we let them know. By doing this, we get on their radar. They're aware of us. So when we need to ask them to be part of a roundup or part of some kind of piece of content we're doing, we need the input, then they're very, very happy to engage with us. By doing this warm outreach, we ensure we build relationships with people before we engage with them. And outreach, either cold or warm, is at its heart about building relationships. And this is why outreach is the most important part of a company's SEO strategy in 2016, because outreach gets the highest value links. It also builds brand awareness within your key core target markets, and it also has the ability to drive traffic to your website from interested people. So that is why the future of SEO is about building these relationships. SEO is becoming more focused around these PR processes more than it ever has done, and that's why digital PR is so important in 2016. So if we look at what I was doing in my job in 2010, it was totally different to what we do in 2016. 2016, as you can see by the graphic, there's a high proportion of activities that are around content and outreach. And the rest of the areas of SEO are around technical. So this is why these two areas of technical and outreach are so key to a brand's SEO strategy. We need our analytical technical SEO team and our relationship builders working together. This is so important for SEO. Without either, nothing can happen. We have to have them both working in sync on the same goals to ensure that we have success within our SEO campaigns. So to end with, we look at the checklist for SEO success. Now, this is also available in a recent white paper that we did, which was the Science of SEO. And this looks at elements we talked about in this presentation. And if you want to download the SEO white paper, you can do so at our website. But we look at our checklist and we can see there's areas that we need to keep an eye on moving forward. We need to ensure we do our keyword research right. This is so important. Without our keyword research done, we will not rank for the terms we want to rank for. And if we do rank for the terms that we haven't done the research for, we won't get the results we want. We need to create a website that has content that is based on our keywords. That means that the keywords that we have researched, we need to ensure that they are present on our website. And this comes to looking at our on-page and our technical. We also need to ensure that our website has obviously technical operation, nothing's holding it back. This is to ensure that we keep an eye on our 404 errors, check our sitemaps, check our Google console on a frequent basis. Obviously, we need to create outstanding content. I've obviously gone through this a number of times. It's so important for authority link building. We need to build relationships. Let's not just build links, we need to build relationships. There's no point in us going out there and just building thousands and thousands of links. It's much better just to get 5 really strong links from a person who you can build a relationship with online and offline moving forward. We also need to ensure that we are doing competitor analysis. This is so important. We need to know who our top competitors are and what they're doing that we're not doing. This is really important in any form of business marketing, online and offline. We need to make it outreach personal. This is so important. Back in the day, people would be sending mass outreach requests to thousands of people and just getting things totally wrong. You have to make it personal. If you're going to contact somebody, show them that you've done the work, show them that you know their brand, show them that you know the person. Don't just send them, hi, check out this piece of content. You have to show them why they should and show them that you have a respect for them as a person, as a blogger. We just use social media to build these relationships. As I said before, we need to ensure that our outreach is targeted, and this makes it a lot easier when we build further campaigns moving forward. The most important part of SEO is to monitor, test, tweak and scale. We monitor our results. We do something, we monitor it. We then test. We tweak a couple of things, and then if things are working, we scale. If they're not, we tweak further. That is the main area of SEO. If you can get that right, then you can just scale. You know things work. If you've done an outreach campaign, you've had great results, scale it. And lastly, don't give up. SEO is a long process. It's not a direct traffic generator. Therefore, you need to ensure that you don't give up. SEO, we've got the pie chart, which again has come from the white paper that we recently did. And so SEO strategy involves looking at the on-page, looking at off-page, content creation, cold outreach and warm outreach. All these areas are covered in this presentation and in the SEO white paper. So for further information on these areas, obviously download the white paper or just review the slides that we mentioned on this presentation. They're quite self-explanatory and we've gone into quite a lot of detail, so I don't want to keep on going over elements that we've already covered. And that is it. That is the presentation of the science of SEO and how SEO can affect and benefit your business in 2016. A lot of these strategies that we've talked about are proven strategies to utilize for modern day SEO. And I know a lot was gone through, and a number of areas may have required a lot more detail. You can contact myself, James at 2Infinity, and we can look at how you can develop an SEO strategy that is beneficial to you and your business to move forward in 2016. So finally, thank you all for listening, and hope you get the best success out of your SEO in 2016.